the unmet expectations. There's also a category for home. You might have expectations around curfew, certainly have the expectation no drugs be on the property. I like the expectation also that's not listed here, but none of your friends are allowed on our property under the influence or in possession of drugs or alcohol. Doesn't mean you're going to search them at the door, but if you find drugs or alcohol or paraphernalia on your property and your child says, well, that was my friend's, you can say, hey, the expectation was no one was allowed over here in possession of those things. They're not allowed on our property to begin with, and so therefore you're the one responsible for the consequence. And chores, that you might have expectations around chores and that they be completed by a specified time. So consequences are going to vary from family to family. So that's why in the consequence section I put a question mark in front of each of them, because it might not fit for you guys, but it's just giving you an idea. So a violation of curfew, let's say your child comes home an hour late, well, maybe they need to be in then 2 hours earlier tomorrow. No drugs on the property, the consequence should be the same as what the consequences are for the recovery section of your home contract. And complete chores by a specified time, maybe the consequence is that they're not allowed to go out until the chores are completed. Now, these are just ideas and recommendations. You don't have to go with those. I'm just giving you examples. Same thing, school, good expectations are attend the classes, complete homework, maintain an acceptable GPA, and follow through with the rules of the school. GPA is important. If your child has only been a 2.8 student for the last 3 years, do not expect them to be a 4.0 student, not even a 3.5, just maybe a 3.2 for now. I think parents sometimes get anxious and feel powerless with all this going on, and unconsciously kind of want to get into a controlling mode and say, well, my child has the capacity to be a 4.0. It's only because of drug use that they have a 2.8, and so they can get a 4.0, so I'm going to have that as a GPA. That's not a realistic expectation at this time. We want to pick our battles, and the first battle being to get them off of all drugs. But it is acceptable to have an appropriate GPA, and you might want to consult with your child's counselor about what that might be. Okay. And then again, consequence area to the right, that's where you list the consequence for violated expectations. Okay. So before this contract is finalized and implemented, certainly you want to make sure you're willing to follow through with everything that you listed. You want to make sure any other parents, your husband or wife, or the ex who is remarried, that all parents are willing to follow through with the contract, and before it's presented. Also, check in with your child's counselor and let them take a look at that at the contract and give you feedback about it. If needed, let them help you to develop it. Again, it's part of your child's counselor's role is to help educate you and support you in this process. I think we've mentioned that parents need to follow through. And towards the bottom here, we aren't asking them to sign. These are your boundaries. We're not asking them if it's okay to set limits with them. We're not asking them if it's okay if we have expectations that they don't do drugs. And then you might think that by having them sign it, it makes them or holds them to more of a commitment. It really doesn't. You are stating that these are your expectations for the household, and that it kind of just is the way that it is, not looking for their signature. Your counselor will talk to you about how to present this specifically, but one thing that you want to do is just make sure you present it in a calm but assertive tone. You don't want to present it with too much authority or defensiveness, or presenting it with anxiety where you're kind of reading it but more or less asking them for permission if it's okay. For example, in the expectations, presenting the expectation of abstinence from all drugs. If sometimes parents will say abstinence from all drugs and nicotine, as if it's a question. So you want to just be calm and assertive and state, hey, abstinence from all drugs, alcohol, and nicotine. If you violate the expectation, you'll be grounded for 3 weeks. Follow through with random drug testing. If you violate the expectation, you'll be grounded for 3 weeks. So just be clear, be assertive, present it, and it should go over well. Again, let your child's counselor help you with that. And I think that's it for this section. Please proceed to the drug testing protocol video, video number 3. Thank you.